Hi, I'm Joan Ranquet, and I thought it would be fun to do Facebook Lives. I used to do a bunch of them, and I got out of the habit, but I get so many questions from people, and some of you are on my newsletter, some of you are on my Facebook page, and I just thought it'd be a really fun way to keep the interaction going so that you can answer questions. And I thought I would first talk today about animal communication, some of the main reasons why animal communication is so important. I just did a blog a few weeks ago, and I said, that animal communication is super important for a million reasons, but one of the number one ways is medical intuition. And for those of you that don't really know what medical intuition is, it's a way of being able to scan and feel into what's going on for another being. There are great human medical intuitives. I've got a friend that just, oh my God, whenever somebody tells me they've got something going on, I have them go straight to her because it's just profound. And also, I do it with animals, and I'm training my students to do it with animals. And I would have to say that when you're able to really, really do this, and it is a well-honed skill, you're able to help on a profound level. And here's why. A lot of behavior can seem, wow, I feel like I'm in a kaleidoscope. Is something wrong?
It's fine.
Okay. Is anybody on?
Yes.
Okay.
Nancy Adams says hi, Joan.
Hi. Okay. So, well, I actually am thinking now of a couple stories, but I want to go back to 1,000 years ago. I was in a PhD program actually for medical intuition, and I was studying with Carolyn Mace and Dr. Norm Shealy. Dr. Norm Shealy was a neurosurgeon, and he would literally just give us the name and the birth date, and we had to go through and find out what was wrong. What Carolyn Mace used to always say is that your biography becomes your biology. So we can kind of understand what's going on even for animals that are having seemingly behavioral issues, and maybe it actually has a physical reason, and maybe that physical reason is still even based in an emotional reason. So it's a really deep way of understanding your animal. I'll tell you a story. I had a phone call. As an animal communicator, I do most of my work on the phone. So I had a phone call with this woman who had a dachshund that was very depressed. And he was so depressed, he was completely lifeless. And in that lifeless state, this client of mine was beginning to question, is it even right to keep somebody that's this lifeless, this lack of life, lack of desire to do anything alive? And when we did the phone session, I got a sense of all the things he liked to do and be, and he wasn't doing those things. And then I did a medical intuition scan, and there it was in the middle of his back. Two of the vertebrae felt like they were squished together more, right? Like that. If you think of vertebrae have to have space. I mean, I think of like what is that musical instrument? Oh my God.
Accordion.
Oh my God. Words have just left me because here I am doing this live show. So it's an accordion. It should be like an accordion. There should be space in there. And instead, it was like a squished accordion. So literally, she got that dog to a vet. Actually, Dr. Jill Todd, who I have the CBD company with. And within one session, this woman had her dog back. But it wouldn't have occurred to her that it was the dog's back. I have several other stories.
You're cutting in and out. The network keeps shutting down, and people are commenting that you're cutting in and out.
Okay.
The network keeps getting lost.
All right. Should I just keep going? I don't know. I'll fix this by next time because I mean, the only thing I can do is I could put a dog here as a placeholder and I could turn, it's not.
It's recording, so it'll be fine.
Okay. So, all right. So then the other story that I wanted to tell, actually I've got a few. And it's interesting too because it literally can be life or death. This gal called me that was, she thought her horse was at the end. He was an older horse. He hadn't eaten in forever, and you know, that's critical with a horse. Obviously, he couldn't eat. He wasn't eating. So I came over, and I mean, within a second of walking into the barn, I was like, oh, it's a tooth way back there. She's like, I've checked his teeth. And I said, no, I swear to God, it's a tooth back there. And by chance, that day, I was having a vet come out to do my horse's teeth. And I said, you know what? Let's just see. And we got the equine dentist there. And the next thing you know, they pulled the tooth. And that horse stayed alive many more years because he was able to eat. And it was as simple as just the tooth. Another case where an animal had, someone had called me because her dog had lymphoma and was on chemo, but it was a lymphoma that wasn't going to be so, like something you'd think that they were going to die from immediately. It was an okay, if there is an okay lymphoma, and the chemo was an okay chemo. And at some point the dog stopped being able to walk, and the people thought that it was cancer related, so they took him to the emergency room. He never left the emergency room. He stayed in ICU. And I went in there to go see him because they thought they were going to have to put him down on Tuesday, and this was a Saturday, and they wanted to have a moment of saying goodbye to him. And I walked in and I thought, now I can't diagnose because I'm not a veterinarian, but it felt like a pinched nerve. And I said, do you mind if I just do a little bit of work on your dog? And I did a little bit of energy work, kept working on this area, and the next thing you know, he walked out of the room I was working on him in. And I actually have that video up on YouTube. So, you know, for me, medical intuition is something that's so important and such an important part of animal communication. And it's, again, it's a very well-honed skill. It takes a lot of practice and a lot of verification, and is something that I love when my students get really good at it. Just recently, one of my students checked in on a horse, and I didn't tell her anything. I knew what the condition was. Her name is Renee, and she nailed it down to exactly from the feet up to the neck, up to the boom, boom, boom. She walked through the whole body from start to finish, where the origin of the problem was to what the horse was feeling. So it's so important because, again, you can change an animal's life. Are there any questions on there? Are people asking questions?
They're having issues with the network. It keeps freezing.
Okay.
It keeps dropping out, but it says it's recording, so maybe if they go back and rewatch it, it'll be fluid, hopefully.
Okay.
Any questions? Maybe we should all send the network Reiki.
You know what? One time at my old farm, the septic stopped working, and we did a medical intuition scan on where in the line of the septic it was clogged, and we did energy work on that, and then we did a little bit of other, actual stuff. But yeah, we did medical intuition scan and scalar wave the septic, and nobody had to pee outside. It was perfect. Any other questions?
It says low network connection.
Okay. I think that we'll come back next Tuesday with better network. But I'll upload this, and I'm sorry about that, but we'll give it our best.